Welcome to Coffee with Viking. I am Mike. Cheers. Raising kids. Proverbs 22:6. Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. More than a dozen proverbs deal with raising kids. Most of the advice zeroes in on discipline, urging young fathers to consider disciplining their children as an expression of love. And I am all for discipline, but I'm not for abuse, and there is a difference between disciplining and abusing. Growing up, me and my sister, we were disciplined, like having to pick our own switches, getting the belt, even the cutting board. Oh yeah, if we had it coming, that we got it. A father corrects a child in whom he delights. Another proverb adds a sense of urgency. Proverbs 19:18. Discipline your children while there is hope. Otherwise, you will ruin their lives. Yet another adds motivation. Proverbs 29:17. Discipline your children and they will give you peace of mind. But does Proverbs encourage spanking? I got nothing against it because that was the discipline we got. That and groundings, and let me tell you, the spankings were more effective because it wound up being a thing we feared. So we either tried remaining good or just got better at hiding our bad behavior, which wasn't always well hidden. So when you're a kid, you think you're doing a good job. Looking back at it, it's really funny and goofy now, but I am not against a spanking of a child. I don't see that as abuse. Some Bible translations leave parents feeling as though they have a biblical mandate to hit their disobedient kids, and if they don't, they're negligent. Examples from two passages that sound pro-spanking. Don't be afraid to correct your young ones. A spanking won't kill them. A good spanking, in fact, might save them from something worse than death. And you can find this message in Proverbs 23:13 and 14. Proverbs 23:13 and 14. Withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with the rod, and shalt deliver his soul from hell. Sounds pretty clear to me. Now, the way I see that, though, is spankings and abuse are two totally different things. Now, when you're actually beating a kid and beating him to a point where he can't move, speak, and he's wound up in the hospital, then that's abuse. But a few whacks on the butt for doing something wrong, no, that's discipline. And people nowadays need to stop being so afraid and know that we need to bring spankings back, especially if you've seen the way people have turned their kids into today. A good spanking might actually bring kids back. The ones that are lost due to bad parenting, leading their kids to the alphabet soup group pride parades and having them acting out, yelling at their parents, yelling at everyone. And some places you go, you can walk past someone and a kid out of nowhere might throw a middle finger up at you out of nowhere, not even knowing you. So, yeah, we need to bring the discipline back and good parenting back. We need to bring God back into parenting. Those who spare the rod of discipline hate their children. Those who love their children care enough to discipline them. And that's Proverbs 13:24. Proverbs 13:24. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. This makes it sound like parents who don't spank their kids don't love them. And the way I see it, they're not showing love, because there's love and discipline, because you want to raise that kid the right way to where they start making the right choices through life and have a better life down the road. Yet many Bible translations take out the spanking verbiage to focus attention on the need for discipline rather than the manner of the discipline. Also, some shepherds remind us that a shepherd's rod isn't for walloping sheep. It's for gently nudging them back on the path and away from danger. Yes, and when you get spanked, it's a few whacks on the butt and nothing to leave any marks. Just enough to get the kids' attention and make them not want that again, so they start going down the right path. And you know, something else, after me and my sister got disciplined, after we got over the anger and the sadness of what just happened, our mother would sit with us and let us know why she did what she did, and would lead us like the shepherd leading the sheep. Because she didn't want us to make all the wrong choices. She wanted us to make the right choices. Many Bible experts, on the other hand, argue that spanking unruly children was a common method of discipline throughout the ancient world, and should still be today, because again, it's not abuse. Including among Jewish families, so some scholars say that the elderly sages of Proverbs were presuming that some spanking would be necessary. And then there's some cases where it's not. Some cases where a talking to and a grounding might do it. But there are some where it won't be enough. And believe me, as someone that used to get in a lot of trouble in my youth, yeah, I'm actually glad I went through that discipline. The question that godly parents face today is whether or not this ancient practice is still necessary for their particular children. Nowadays, I'd say yes, because it's gotten worse. Given the other options available, some children are sensitive enough to melt into tears of regret at the mere tone of disappointment in a parent's voice. And that is true. Like I said, not every time discipline needs to be a spanking. Sometimes a firm talking to is enough. Others may need their cell phones taken away for a week. Take it away for 5 minutes and see how they squirm nowadays. People can't even walk down a hallway without being on their phones. And it's kind of annoying when you're almost walking into someone as they're not paying attention. still some Christian people insist that on occasion their particular kid needs the sharp sting of a wallop. Yes, that is true, and I am one that is pro spanking. Now, I'm not pro abuse, and I know that there are some cases with the child that a spanking is too extreme because the punishment does not fit the crime, so to speak. But there are some where, yes, you would need to go to that. And I'm not saying go all out, because, you might turn that into abuse, and that ain't right. But a few whacks on the butt with a switch, with a belt, with the cutting board from the kitchen, with the chopping block, or whatever you want to call it wherever you're from, which they nicknamed it a paddle, even though it was the cutting board, not an actual paddle, but it worked as one. And some of them even had the holes in them to get a good swing. And oh man, I tell you, when you heard the whistling of it coming down at you, you knew before it even touched you, your eyes closed, your teeth gritted, and you knew it was coming. And let me tell you, the more we got that, the less likely we were, for a while anyway, to do anything bad. Keep in mind, I am a child of the late 80s and early 90s, so yeah, even after the discipline, we would still fall into doing some really stupid things. And I am pro spanking. I'm not against it, but I am anti-abuse. And I do know some parents can take the spanking and turn it into abuse, and that I am not for. But if it is a spanking of discipline and it is fitting of the child's crimes, again, so to speak, I'm all for it. Because, I went through it, my sister went through it, my cousins went through it, and the ones that did our spankings, they went through it. So, and now if you look at this generation where they took away spankings, calling it abuse, look at the kids now. Now, I'm not saying all of them, because there are still some good kids there that are being raised right. But look at a lot of the kids now. See how rude they are to everybody, even their parents, out in public. I say bring back spankings, not abuse, but bring back spankings. And see how quickly those kids get better when the way they treat people. And not only bring that back, but bring God back into parenting. Because that is what this world is truly needing. And the fact this world's pushing God out of everything. It's why we're in the mess we're in today. I'm sorry, I know I've been rambling for a while, but this is one subject that I am very strong on and have been. I mean, I wasn't when I was a kid because I didn't want the spankings, but this is one I'm very firm on. And again, I'm thankful I went through it, because I wouldn't be sitting here today. Kind of funny, after going through it, I couldn't sit, but now I'm sitting here today, and I'm actually talking about how good it is if it's done right. Either way, stay blessed, stay caffeinated. Much love.